Before we start, let me ask you something. When Prince Harry married Meghan Markle, he said the two of them would have been thick as thieves, that his mom and his wife were so similar, it was almost like they were cut from the same cloth. And honestly, in some ways, he wasn't wrong. But here's the thing nobody really talks about. For all the ways Meghan and Diana were alike, there were just as many ways they were completely different. And some of those differences, they might have been exactly what protected Diana inside the palace walls. Today we're going over the rules Diana quietly understood, that Meghan either didn't know about or simply chose not to follow. Stay until the end because the last one is probably the most important of all. Rule 1, how you treat staff. Let's start here because this one comes up a lot. Diana was known for having a genuinely warm relationship with palace staff. Not just polite, warm. She remembered names. She asked about families. She treated the people working around her like actual human beings. Her former protection officer, Ken Worf, described how Diana would interact with staff as if they were part of her circle. She understood something early on. In the royal world, the people working quietly around you are not invisible. They talk, they report back. And more importantly, they remember how you made them feel. Meghan's relationship with staff was reportedly a very different story. Reports of harsh exchanges, complaints filed, and a formal bullying inquiry launched by the Times of London painted a much messier picture. Diana broke plenty of royal rules, but how she spoke to the people serving her, that was never one of them. Rule 2, the media game. Diana had a complicated relationship with the press, everyone knows that. But here's what people forget. She was incredibly strategic about it. She understood the media was a tool, and she used it carefully. When she gave her famous 1995 Panorama interview with Martin Bashir, it was calculated. It was emotional, yes. But Diana knew exactly what she was doing. She chose the moment, she chose the platform. She chose every word. Meghan and Harry's Oprah interview in 2021 drew massive comparisons to that Diana interview. Both women spoke openly about mental health struggles. Both talked about feeling unsupported by the palace. Both painted the institution in a very unflattering light. But the difference is timing and consequence. Diana gave her interview years into her separation from Charles, after she had already been stripped of her HRH title. Meghan and Harry did theirs, while the relationship with the royal family still had a chance of being repaired. Many royal watchers say Diana knew the cost of that kind of interview, and she waited until the right moment to pay it. Rule 3, fashion as a message. Now, this is where they actually had a lot in common. Both Diana and Meghan used fashion to communicate. Diana wore that black off-shoulder dress to the Serpentine Gallery on the same night Charles confessed to infidelity on national television. It became known as the revenge dress. She also wore black regularly at a time when royals were only supposed to wear it for funerals. She went bare-legged when tights were expected. She wore strapless and backless gowns when conservative cuts were the standard. So Diana broke fashion rules too. But here's the key difference. Diana's fashion rule breaking always felt intentional and pointed. Every bold choice told a story. Meghan's fashion moments, like the $60,000 Dior dress on the Morocco tour, came across very differently. Less like a statement, more like a disconnect. Diana understood that fashion in the royal family is never just clothing. It's always a message to the public, and she was very aware of what message she was sending. Rule 4, how you handle protocol you disagree with. Diana famously hated certain royal protocols. She thought some of them were outdated and unnecessary. She felt isolated and unsupported. She struggled deeply behind closed palace walls. But here's how she handled it. Quietly, privately, and often by just doing it anyway. She showed up, she wore the tights, she followed the seating arrangements, and then she found small, clever ways to push back through her work and her public image. According to reports, Meghan took a different approach. Former palace staffers described her as openly frustrated with protocols she found silly. One source was quoted saying she hated the constraints, the rules, and being in what felt like a second position behind Catherine. Diana had those same feelings, deeply, but she kept them out of earshot of the institution. That discipline, as painful as it must have been, kept her protected far longer than anyone outside the palace walls probably realized. Rule 5. Picking your causes carefully. Diana's charity work was groundbreaking for a royal. She sat with AIDS patients at a time when people were terrified to even be in the same room as them. She walked through active landmine fields in Angola. She held dying children in hospitals around the world. These weren't easy or comfortable causes. The Queen herself reportedly told Diana that AIDS wasn't a suitable royal cause and asked her to get involved with something more pleasant. Diana pushed back, and she kept going. But here is what made Diana so effective. Every cause she chose was rooted in genuine compassion and human connection. The public felt that. Meghan also arrived with ambitious ideas about the causes she wanted to champion, and her intentions were clearly genuine. But reports suggest she sometimes clashed with palace aides over how those causes should be managed and communicated. Diana knew that inside the royal institution, even doing good had rules. You had to bring people along with you. You couldn't just announce it and expect the palace to get on board. She built trust slowly and carefully before she pushed the envelope. Rule 6. Emotions in public. Diana changed everything when it came to royal emotions. She cried in public. She hugged strangers. She showed vulnerability in ways no royal had ever done before. And the public absolutely loved her for it. Meghan also came in with a very open and emotionally expressive energy. The Oprah interview, the Netflix documentary, the memoir contributions from Harry. Both women were deeply honest about their struggles, but the reactions were very different, and a lot of that comes down to something subtle. Diana never seemed to direct her emotional revelations at the institution while she was still inside it. She waited. She grieved and struggled quietly behind closed doors for years before she ever spoke publicly about what she was going through. Meghan's revelations came faster and felt more immediate. Some people saw that as brave. Others inside the palace saw it as a breach of the unspoken rule every royal lives by. You protect the institution, even when the institution isn't protecting you. Diana lived by that rule for a very long time. Rule 7. The Press Game Part 2. Here's something most people don't realize about Diana. She was brilliant at managing individual journalists. She cultivated relationships quietly. She gave certain reporters access. She understood which stories to let run and which to push back on. It wasn't manipulation exactly, it was just smart. She understood that the tabloids were always going to exist, so she found ways to work with the current rather than fight it. Harry himself said before the Oprah interview that his biggest fear was history repeating itself. He watched his mother get destroyed by the press, and he wanted to protect Meghan from that. But ironically, the very public way he and Meghan went to war with the British tabloids may have created more heat than it deflected. Diana knew when to go quiet. That silence was sometimes her most powerful move of all. Rule 8. Who you let in. Diana had close friends, deep, loyal ones. But she was also careful about who got close to her. She understood that inside royal life, information moves fast. What you say to someone in confidence can end up somewhere you never expected it to go. Reports about Meghan's time as a working royal suggest she found it difficult to know who to trust inside the institution. That isolation was real and painful. And in fairness, Diana felt exactly the same way. But Diana's instinct was to pull inward when she felt threatened, to become harder to read. Meghan's instinct, perhaps shaped by years of being a public figure in Hollywood, was to communicate and speak out. Neither approach is wrong exactly, but inside the monarchy, silence tends to be the safer armor. Here's the thing. Diana and Meghan are more similar than most people admit. Both were outsiders who married into an institution they were never fully prepared for. Both struggled with their mental health. Both were scrutinized constantly. Both eventually left in their own way. But Diana spent years learning the quiet rules underneath the official ones. The unspoken code that said, you can push back, but you have to know when and how. She played the long game. Whether that was the right choice is a whole other conversation. But it's why she remained one of the most beloved figures in the world, right up until the very end. And I think somewhere, she would have understood exactly what Meghan went through. Because she lived it first. So the real question is, do you think Meghan was brave for doing things differently? Or do you think Diana's quiet approach was the smarter move? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear what you actually think. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The next video is already in the works. and it might just change how you see the royal family completely.